3 rules kept everyone alive for 50 years. We broke all 3, and one of us came out. This is the only recording that survived. If you recognize the key in my hand, close the video now. Because I'm not the one holding it anymore. Cold open, it started with a key. It's 2:17 a.m. and I can't stop shaking. My phone's propped up on a stack of unopened mail, red record light staring at me like the last honest thing left in this apartment. I haven't slept in 4 days. I keep hearing that horn. Not in my head, inside the walls, inside my teeth. Look. Look at this. I lift the key into frame. Old brass, heavy, the kind that belongs on a mansion door from a century no one wants to remember. The bow is crusted with dark flakes that catch the lamplight like rust, except it isn't rust. We both know what it is. I found this in my pocket the morning I got out. It wasn't there when I went in. I swear on whatever's left of me, it wasn't there. I'm only recording this because if I don't say it out loud, if I don't get it out of me, then everything that happened inside Hill House stays buried with the people who never walked back out. The official story is that the place was condemned in 1973 and the gates are chained forever. Everyone believes that. Everyone's wrong. I've been sitting here for hours trying to figure out how to warn you without making things worse. Because once you know the address, once you hear the street name and the mile marker, some of you are going to do something stupid. You're going to think you're different. You're going to think you'll just drive by, just look, just prove it's all fake. Don't. I'm going to say it once. And whatever you do, don't pause this video to look up the address I'm about to say. 3 months ago I was the guy who rolled his eyes so hard at the paranormal that I probably pulled a muscle. 180,000 subscribers. Most of them there for the sarcasm and the slow-motion drone shots of me kicking in rotten plywood while calling ghosts unpaid interns of the afterlife. My comment sections were a war zone of fake versus. I felt a cold spot watching this, and I lived for it. Every like, every angry emoji, every teenager swearing my last video gave them nightmares. That was dopamine straight to the vein. Mia thought it was hilarious. She'd sit off camera painting her nails while I filmed intros like, if this place is actually haunted, I owe the entire occult community a written apology and a fruit basket. She'd laugh so hard she'd snort, then flip the camera around to show her rolling her eyes harder than I ever could. We were good like that. We balanced each other. She studied botany, wore overalls covered in soil, and still kissed me like I was the most interesting thing in any room. I kept telling her I'd quit the ghost hunting shtick once we hit 1 million subs and could buy a real house with windows that weren't painted shut. She'd just grin and say, "Sure, babe," right after one more, totally fake video. That's how Hill House started, as a joke in our kitchen at 1 a.m., both of us a little drunk on cheap red wine, scrolling through abandoned place subreddits. Someone posted a grainy photo of a boarded-up Victorian monstrosity half swallowed by kudzu, caption screaming, "Do not enter," worse than Amityville. The comments were pure gold, people claiming their cousin's friend went in and came out speaking backward Latin, blah blah blah. I read them out loud in my best dramatic voice while Mia filmed me on her phone, cackling. By the time the bottle was empty, we'd already decided road trip. Cute little weekend getaway to the middle of nowhere. I'd get my spooky content, she'd get cute Polaroids of us kissing in front of no trespassing signs. We'd be home by Sunday night arguing over what to binge on Netflix. I even made a thumbnail before we left, me smirking, arms crossed, the house looming behind me like a bad Photoshop job. Title already locked in, The Hunting of Hill House, Gone Wrong? We laughed the whole time. Mia drew little cartoon hearts on the preview image in editing software. We posted a community poll, should we spend the night or bail like cowards? 92% said stay. Of course they did. We packed like it was summer camp, string lights, portable speaker for vibes, 2 thermoses of spiked hot chocolate, her stupid fluffy blanket that smelled like lavender and took up half the back seat. I remember her singing off-key to some indie playlist while I drove, windows down, warm September air whipping her hair into my face. She kept stealing my phone to read the new comments out loud in funny voices. User XXDarkangelXX says if we hear children laughing we have to burn sage and leave immediately. I laughed so hard I almost missed the exit. Looking back, the scariest part wasn't the house. It was how excited we were to go inside. We reached the turnoff right as the sun bled out behind the pines. The GPS gave up 2 miles back, just spat out signal lost and died like it knew better. Dirt road, washed out, choked with brambles that clawed the paint off my car like they were trying to keep us from getting any closer. Mia was filming out the passenger window, narrating in her best documentary voice. And here we see the natural habitat of the basic urban explorer, drawn inexorably toward poor life choices. Then the house appeared. It's one thing to see pictures. It's another to watch it rise out of the ground like it's been waiting for your headlights. 3 stories of sagging Victorian wrought, windows boarded with planks so old they looked petrified, roof shingles curling like dead leaves. The front door hung open just enough to show a strip of absolute black inside, the kind of dark that doesn't reflect light, just swallows it. Even I felt the hairs on my arms stand up, and I'm the guy who once spent the night in a morgue for a thumbnail. We parked on the shoulder where a rusted chain used to be. Someone had cut it years ago, the ends were bright and sharp, like the metal was still angry. Mia hopped out first, boots crunching on gravel, already laughing because I was pretending to be brave while triple-checking that the GoPro batteries were full. That's when we met the local. Old guy in a pickup that looked older than he was, sitting there with the engine off like he'd been waiting for idiots like us. Flannel shirt, beard down to his chest, eyes the color of creek water after rain. Didn't wave, didn't get out. Just stared until I walked over. Evening, I said, all friendly YouTuber energy. He didn't blink. You going in there? Planning on it. He nodded once, slow. Then you won't mind if I don't learn your names. Mia laughed nervously behind me. That's ominous. 10 out of 10 for atmosphere. The old man reached across his seat, pulled out a manila folder so old the corners had curled. Tossed it through my open window like it burned him to hold it any longer. Copy of the report, he said. From 73. Read it if you're smart. Burn it if you're smarter. Then he drove off, taillights disappearing around the bend like he couldn't leave fast enough. Back at the car, Mia was already tearing the folder open. Inside, yellowed incident report, state police letterhead, typed on a typewriter that missed the memo about the letter E. I started reading it out loud for the vlog, doing my best spooky narrator impression. On the evening of October 14, 1973, officers responded to reports of screaming at the residence locally known as Hill House. Upon arrival, officers discovered evidence that the 3 primary rules of safe visitation had been violated by the missing persons, to wit: 1. Never open the red door under any circumstances. 2. Never remain on the property past midnight. 3. Never enter the house alone. Pairs are required for containment. Search efforts were terminated after 48 hours. Case closed pending new evidence. Property condemned. I remember laughing so hard I had to pause recording. Containment? What is this, a freaking SCP entry? And pairs are required? That's the dumbest creepypasta rule I've ever heard. Like the ghosts are running a 2-for-1 special. Mia smirked, twirled the car keys around her finger. So what you're saying is we should break all 3 for the views? Obviously. That's the bit. We open the red door at 11:59 with just the 2 of us and see if the ghost HOA sends us a fine. She kissed me on the cheek, quick and warm. You're an idiot, she whispered. My idiot. We grabbed our bags, headlamps clicking on, and walked up the cracked stone path like we were heading into a haunted corn maze at the county fair. Not a house that had eaten every couple dumb enough to cross its threshold since before we were born. I stopped at the threshold, turned the camera to selfie mode one last time while the last sliver of daylight died behind us. All right, chat, I said, grinning like the smug bastard I was. 3 rules. 3 chances to prove this place is as fake as every other cursed house on the internet. Comment down below which rule you think got us first. Then we stepped inside, and the door shut itself behind us with a sound like someone saying welcome home. First night, fun turns wrong. The first hour was comedy gold. Pure, monetizable content. We kicked it off in the foyer, me shining the headlamp around like a discount Ghostbusters while Mia filmed B-roll of peeling wallpaper with wallpaper glue still, glistening wet, like someone had just hung it yesterday. Okay, chat, I said, voice dripping sarcasm, first jump scare incoming in 3, 2, right on cue. A floorboard groaned under my foot. I yelped like a cartoon character, clutched my chest, then burst out laughing. Boo. Gotcha. That's $200 in super chats right there. Mia was dying, doubled over, her phone flashlight shaking. You're such a drama queen. Do the cold spot next. We moved to the parlor, grand piano covered in dust sheet, chandelier dangling like crooked teeth. I stuck my hand out dramatically, detecting unnatural chill in 3, 2, nothing. 1, crap, false alarm. Then a breeze hit, legit icy, ruffling the dust motes into little tornadoes. Mia's eyes went wide. Whoa. Okay, that was cold. Wind tunnel, I said, but I edited in a goofy kazoo bwomp bwomp fail sound later. Subscribers ate it up. Next, kitchen. Cabinets banging open on their own, well, rusty hinges plus me nudging them with my boot. Poltergeist activity. Or raccoons with commitment issues. Mia opened the fridge, empty except for a single brown egg, cracked, yolk long dried to leather. She pretended to faint. I caught her, dipped her like in a rom-com, planted one on her. Excited for more scares, babe? Upstairs was prime real estate. Master bedroom, four-poster bed sagging in the middle like it remembered everybody that died in it. Doors slamming? Check. I'd run down the hall, slam one, sprint back yelling ghost. Mia chased me with the camera, both of us wheezing with laughter. One door stuck fast, no budging. I rammed it with my shoulder. It flew open to a linen closet. Linengeist. I'm deceased. Edited in a whoopee cushion fart for that one. By 11 p.m., we were sprawled on sleeping bags in the foyer, main floor central 4, maximum hauntings. Spiked hot cocoa steaming, fairy lights twinkling off her stupid fluffy blanket. Mia nestled into my side, scrolling comments on her phone, spotty signal, but enough. User Spookmaster69 says the egg was a bad omen. Don't kiss in haunted houses, it seals the pact. She giggled, nuzzled closer. They love us. Course they do. We're killing it. I checked my watch, 11:55. 5 minutes to rule 2. Midnight curfew. Should we bail dramatically? Nah, she said, eyes sparkling. One more thing. Basement for the red door. Views or bust. Stairs creaked like every horror movie ever, but we hooted down them, headlamps cutting yellow cones through soup-thick dark. Basement, dirt floor, stone walls sweating, boiler hulking like a dead metal beast. And there, end of a low tunnel, it squatted. The red door. Blood crimson paint flaking but glossy underneath, fresh. Padlock the size of my fist, chain thick as my wrist. Jackpot, I whispered, zooming in. Rule 1, baby. Who wants to see me pick this bad boy? Mia shivered, not faking. Creepy. Try it. I knelt, fiddled with a multi-tool. Click click. No give. Rusted shut. Tough crowd. That's when I felt it, heavy in my jacket pocket. Pulled it out. The brass key. Same one I'm holding now. Crusted bow, teeth filed weird, like it was made for this exact lock. Not in my pocket when we left the car. I'd have felt it. Swear to God. What the? Mia breathed, camera forgotten in her hand. It fit perfect. Slid in smooth, No resistance. Like the lock had been waiting, teeth hungry for the shape. Watch said 11:58. We doing this? I asked, heart suddenly too loud in my ears. For the content, she said, but her voice cracked. I twisted. The clock hit midnight, and something on the other side turned the key for us. The lock clicked open like a sigh. The red door swung inward on silent hinges, exhaling air that smelled of talcum powder and gun oil. My headlamp swept across wallpaper printed with tiny rocking horses, faded pink and gold. A nursery. Full-sized crib in the center, mobile of wooden ducks spinning slow though there was no draft. Rocking chair creaking by itself, back and forth, like someone just stood up. Mia stepped past me, mouth open. This wasn't on the floor plans. This room, it can't be here. The toys on the floor were wrong new. Tin soldiers in perfect rows, their painted eyes bright. A porcelain doll with real human hair, curls soft and warm when I brushed them by accident. Warm. Like skin. I jerked my hand back. Temperature anomaly, I muttered, but my voice cracked like a 12-year-old's. Then the laughter started. Soft at first, a child giggling behind a hand. Then another. Then a chorus, overlapping, coming from everywhere and nowhere. The weirdest part, the giggles matched memories I hadn't thought about in 20 years. The exact pitch of my little sister laughing when I pushed her too high on the swing. The hiccuping laugh Mia made the first time I tried to cook her pancakes and set off the smoke alarm. They were using our own childhoods against us, playing them back like a greatest hits album of innocence. Mia's hand flew to her face. Blood leaked between her fingers, bright arterial red against her pale skin. Not dripping, pouring. She looked at me, terrified. "It's in my eyes," she whispered. "I can taste pennies." I grabbed her, spun toward the doorway. There was no doorway. Just smooth wallpaper where the red door had been. I clawed at it, nails shredding on plaster that felt soft, almost fleshy. The rocking chair sped up, creak, 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 faster, like a heartbeat. The tin soldiers turned their heads in perfect unison. Click. 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 That's when I saw the mirror. An oval standing mirror in the corner, gilt frame chipped. My reflection stared back, but behind me, tall, impossibly tall, stood a man in antique hunting tweeds. Deerstalker cap pulled low, face lost in shadow except for two burning orange eyes like ember coals. One gloved hand rested on an old-fashioned fowling piece slung across his shoulder. He tilted his head, listening, the way you do when you've caught the scent. Mia saw him too. She made this sound, half scream, half sob, blood bubbling at her lips. "Who is that?" The hunter didn't move in the room. Only in the glass. Only when we looked away and then looked back. Every time we blinked, he was closer to the surface of the mirror, like he was walking forward through silver fog. I can't show you the footage from inside. I've tried. The files corrupt the second I drag them to the desktop. Static swallows everything after the door opened, then the clip just ends at 12:03 a.m. with a single frame of the mirror, empty. I kept the memory card in a salt circle for a week hoping it would come back. It didn't. And if I describe the rest too perfectly, the way the wallpaper started breathing, the lullaby that knew our mothers' names, the moment the doll blinked sideways, some of you will decide you're braver than we were. You'll look up the mile marker. You'll bring bolt cutters and a friend and think 2 flashlights make you safe. Don't. Because the room doesn't just want you. It wants to. Always to. And once you're inside, the hunter doesn't chase. He waits until you're ready to run. Day 2, the rationalization. Sunrise found us on the basement stairs, gasping like we'd been underwater for hours. The red door was back, standing open, nursery gone, just damp stone and cobwebs again. My headlamp picked out the padlock on the floor, snapped clean in half like cheap plastic. Mia's face was crusted with dried blood, but the bleeding had stopped. We stared at each other, shaking, then bolted up the stairs and didn't stop until we were outside in the gray morning light. I set the camera on the hood of the car and hit record before I even knew what I was going to say. Update, I panted, forcing the old smirk. So, possible carbon monoxide leak from the old boiler? Mixed with mold spores? Because what we just experienced was textbook mass hallucination. Shared psychotic episode. Happens in haunted houses all the time. Google it. Mia gave a weak laugh, wiped her nose with the sleeve of her hoodie, leaving a brown smear. Or someone laced the hot cocoa with bath salts. I'm voting prank. Rich weirdo with projectors and hidden speakers. Classic. We spent the day doing exactly what skeptics do, proving we weren't scared. I opened every cabinet, sniffed for gas, waved a carbon monoxide detector I'd grabbed from the glove box like it was holy relics. Readings normal. Mia scrubbed the blood off in a rain barrel, changed into one of my spare shirts, and by noon we were eating cold pizza on the front steps, laughing too loud about how we totally owned that nursery ghost. I uploaded a 30-second clip titled, "We Survived the Red Room, Barely," with the caption, "CO poisoning plus adrenaline equals scariest trip ever. Staying one more night to debunk properly. Who's with me?" The comments exploded. Half of them, "Get out you idiots. This is how channels die." Mia looked terrified, "Man, listen to her." The other half, "LMAO do it again coward. Open the door at 3 a.m. this time. Bet you won't kiss in the nursery." I read them out loud while Mia braided her still damp hair. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling the old smile. "Tell them we're charging the cameras and ordering pizza delivery to a haunted house. That'll show 'em." By dusk we were back inside, fresh batteries, new memory cards, fairy lights strung up like it was cozy instead of cursed. I did a live stream poll, leave now or spend night 2? 87% said stay. Half my comment section called me an idiot for staying. The other half dared me. You know which half won. The second night, the hunt begins. Night 2 started wrong from the first footstep inside. The foyer looked the same, fairy lights still glowing, our sleeping bags exactly where we left them, but the staircase had moved. It used to be straight ahead. Now it curled off to the left like a snake that had learned new tricks. I laughed it off on camera, shaky laugh, okay, house, you redecorated. Very HGTV Demon Edition. Mia wasn't laughing. She kept touching the walls like she expected them to bite. Babe, the hallway to the kitchen is longer. I measured it this afternoon with my steps. 22. It's 38 now. Perspective trick, I said, but my voice sounded tinny even to me. We set up in the parlor this time, pushed the piano against the door for extra security, which is hilarious in hindsight. Played cards by headlamp to kill time. Every slam or creak I jumped, then forced a grin. Wind. Old house. Stop manifesting, chat. At 11:12 p.m. the first Polaroid appeared. It slid out from under the door like someone was pushing it with a finger we couldn't see. Glossy, fresh. Me and Mia asleep the night before, mouths open, fairy lights painting us soft and safe. Taken from the foot of the sleeping bags. We'd been alone. Mia made this high, hurt sound. That's impossible. I flipped it over. Written on the back in fountain pen ink, good dogs sleep close. Then the hair started showing up. Long auburn strands, Mia's exact color and wave, nailed to the wallpaper with old-fashioned square nails. First one clump in the hallway. Then a braid dangling from the chandelier like tinsel. Then a single lock twisted around the doorknob to the basement, tied in a perfect bow. She touched the braid, started crying without sound. That's from the back of my head. I can feel the bald spot. I tried to pull one down. The nail went straight through the plaster into something that pulsed. Warm. Alive. We ran. Hallways stretched like taffy. 10 steps forward, 20 steps back. Doors opened onto brick walls that hadn't been there hours ago. My GoPro battery read 87%, then 3%, then 100% again. Timestamp jumping from 11:47 to 12:06 to 11:51 like a scratched record. That's when we found the reel-to-reel in the dining room, sitting on the table like it had been waiting for dinner guests. Big old Ampex, dust-free, tape spooled and ready. Handwritten label in the same fountain pen ink, listen after you hear the horn. We hadn't heard any horn. Yet. Mia's hands shook so hard she couldn't thread the take-up reel. I did it for her, hit play with fingers that felt borrowed. A man's voice, 1973 quality, frantic but trying to stay calm. If you're hearing this, you open the red door. I'm sorry. My name was Daniel Carver. My wife was Emily. We thought the stories were bullshit too. Listen close, the thing in the walls only hunts pairs. Lovers, siblings, best friends, doesn't matter. It needs 2 heartbeats to tune the house like an instrument. When it has 2, the hunt begins. You'll hear the horn. When the horn sounds, run together or die together. If you split up, it wins faster. We split up. Emily. Static swallowed the rest. The tape kept spinning, empty. Mia looked at me, eyes huge. We're the first ones since them. No trespassers, no urban explorers, no cops, nothing in 50 years. We're it. I opened my mouth to say something rational and the horn blew. Low, brassy, rolling through the bones of the house like a death knell from every direction at once. Not recorded. Real. Felt it in my teeth, in my balls, in the pit of my stomach where fear lives. Mia screamed first, raw, animal. I grabbed her hand and we bolted. GoPro caught everything, my ragged breathing, her sobs, the walls breathing with us. Another Polaroid skittered across the floorboards, us running, taken from behind, Hunter's silhouette already taller, already reaching. We rounded a corner that shouldn't exist and there he was, no mirror this time. Full flesh, 7 feet of oilskin, tweed and leather gaiters, face still lost under the brim of that deerstalker, orange eyes glowing like furnace doors. The rifle came up slow, deliberate. Not hurried. Hunters don't hurry. Mia's grip tore from mine. I spun, she was gone, just a smear of blood on the wallpaper where her fingers had been, like the house drank her straight through plaster. I screamed her name until my throat bled. The horn answered, closer, eager. And for the first time I understood, the hunt wasn't in the house. The house was the hunt. Separation and the confession. 1 second her hand was in mine, warm, alive, fingers laced so tight I could feel her pulse hammering against my skin. The next second the wall just took her. No door, no gap, no time to scream. The wallpaper rippled like water and Mia was yanked backward, shoulder first, into plaster that opened and closed like a mouth. I heard the wet crunch of bone on lath, her sharp inhale that never became a scream, and then silence. The wall sealed smooth. No seam, no blood, no Mia. Just faded roses and dust. I stood there staring at my empty hand like an idiot. Then I lost it. I slammed my fists into the wall until knuckles split. Screamed her name until my voice shredded. Dropped to my knees and clawed at the floorboards, nails peeling back, begging the house to give her back. The GoPro was still rolling, clipped to my chest, red light blinking like it was enjoying the show. I dragged it off, turned the lens on my own face. No smirk. No sarcasm. Just snot and tears and blood dripping off my chin. Mia, baby, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. I couldn't stop. The words poured out like poison I'd been swallowing for years. I did this. Not the house. Me. I saw you scared yesterday morning, saw the blood on your face, heard you say we should leave, and I made jokes. I told you it was content. I told you one more night, one more video, just one more thumbnail of us looking brave and stupid and in love. Because 180K subs was almost 200K and 200K meant brand deals and 200K meant I could Finally prove I wasn't wasting my life chasing fake ghosts for fake clout. I laughed then, this broken, wet sound. Turns out the ghosts were real and the clout was fake, and now you're gone and I'm talking to a fucking camera because that's all I know how to do. Talk. Perform. Pretend I'm not terrified. Pretend I'm in control. I pressed my forehead to the wall where she disappeared, whispered so low the mic barely caught it. You begged me this afternoon. You said, let's go home, please, I don't feel right. And I said, after the live stream, babe. The numbers are insane. The numbers. Jesus Christ. I looked straight into the lens, eyes swollen, voice shredded raw. If you ever wondered what it sounds like when someone realizes they killed the person they love for internet clout, you're hearing it right now. I slid down the wall until I was sitting in my own blood and tears, knees to chest, rocking. I broke all 3 rules for a thumbnail. I opened the red door. I stayed past midnight. And now I'm alone. Rule 3. Never go in alone. I'm alone and the horn hasn't sounded again, and that scares me more than when it did because I think it's waiting. Waiting for me to run so it can chase what's left. I laughed again, hollow. Comment your theories, guys. Tell me I'm overreacting. Tell me she's hiding to prank me back. Tell me the next video will be us laughing about this in the car with drive-through burgers. I wiped my face with a sleeve already soaked. I deserve whatever comes through that wall next. The camera battery icon blinked red, 1%, then died. In the sudden dark I heard it, slow, deliberate footsteps upstairs, measured like a hunter pacing a blind, waiting for the last scared rabbit to make a run for the open field. I didn't move. I just sat there and waited to be collected. The final night, becoming the prey. I don't know when the walls gave up pretending to be walls. One blink and the hallway was gone. Moonlight poured through a canopy that had never existed, silver on pine needles that crunched under my boots. The floorboards had rotted into forest floor, soft with moss and the copper stink of old blood. I ran anyway, because standing still felt like volunteering. Trees grew straight through the places where the parlor used to be, bark splitting around door frames like scar tissue. My headlamp died, but it didn't matter, the moon was wrong, too bright, too orange, hanging low and fat like a hunter's moon that had learned to follow you personally. The horn sounded again, closer, patient. One long note that rattled needles from the branches and settled in my bones. I followed the only path there was, because the underbrush closed behind me like theater curtains. That's when I found the first pair. They hung from a low limb, arms linked, dressed in 1940s Sunday best. Skin cured tight and glossy, eyes replaced with polished acorns. A placard around the man's neck read, 1947, opened the red door on a dare. The woman's smile had been sewn into place with black thread. They swayed gently, as if the breeze liked them. 10 yards on, another couple. 1959, bell-bottoms and beehive hair, posed mid-dance. Her head turned all the way around so she could watch the path forever. Then 1963, 1968, 1973, Daniel and Emily, still holding hands, mouths open in the exact scream that had been on the tape. Every pair perfectly preserved, perfectly arranged, like the proudest wall in some sick trophy room. I threw up in the pine needles and kept moving. The hunter never hurried. I'd catch a glimpse between trunks, tall silhouette, rifle across his chest like a soldier at ease. Every time I looked directly he was gone, only the smell of pipe tobacco and wet dog left behind. The rifle cracked once, a single shot that echoed forever, and bark exploded beside my head. No need to reload. The house fed him ammunition the way it fed the trees. I burst into a clearing that used to be the foyer, and there they all were, dozens of couples in a perfect circle, hanging from invisible branches or standing propped on invisible stands. Their glass eyes tracked me. Some still had tears carved into the varnish of their cheeks. In the center, on a stump that used to be the grand staircase, sat the hunting jacket. Old tweed, leather patches at the elbows, brass buttons polished to a sickly gleam. The deerstalker cap rested on top like it was waiting for a head. Next to it, my own body. Me. Hanging by the ankles, throat opened ear to ear, eyes burned out to glowing orange coals. My mouth stretched in the same polite smile every previous hunter had worn. A fresh placard around future me's neck, 2025, stayed for the views. I made a sound I didn't know humans could make. That's when it clicked, cold and clean as the rifle's breech. The house doesn't trap souls. It recruits. Every pair that breaks the rules becomes the next hunter, bound to the walls, the trees, the moonlight, until the next two idiots open the red door and the cycle can finally move on. The horn isn't a warning. It's a changing of the guard. I looked at my corpse again. It looked back with my own face and winked. The rifle but tapped once against hollow wood, polite, ready. Somewhere in the dark, the front door I came in through stood open to a sunrise that would never belong to me again. I understood what I had to do. I walked to the stump. I took off my hoodie. I put on the jacket. It fit perfect. Escape? Dawn came the way it always does in stories, sudden, golden, merciful. The trees melted back into wallpaper, the moon snuffed out like someone pinched the wick. I stumbled down what was left of the grand staircase, jacket hanging heavy on my shoulders, rifle slung across my back like it belonged there. The front door stood open, morning birds singing like nothing had happened. I crossed the threshold and the house let me go. Just like that. Cool September air hit my face, real air, full of cut grass and distant traffic. My car sat exactly where we'd left it, dew on the windshield, Mia's fluffy blanket still folded on the passenger seat like she was just in the bathroom. The brass key was clenched in my fist so tight the teeth had cut half-moons into my palm. I drove until the house was a speck, then nothing. Pulled over on some empty county road, smashed every memory card with a rock, poured lighter fluid on the pieces and watched them curl and blacken. The smoke smelled like plastic and relief. I sat in the driver's seat and cried for the first time since Mia disappeared. Big, stupid, grateful sobs. I was out. I was alive. The sun was warm through the glass and the radio worked and the world still existed outside those walls. I even smiled at my reflection in the rear view. Tired, hollow-eyed, but human. It's over. I'm safe. We beat it. I made it home by noon, took the longest shower of my life, threw every piece of clothing from the trip into a trash bag and left it on the curb. Ordered Thai food. Watched 3 episodes of some baking show. Fell asleep on the couch with the TV still on, dreaming of nothing. For the first time in days, I slept without the horn. Postscript, 1 week later. The camera's already rolling when I step into frame. Same apartment, same ring light, but the background's different, no posters, no gaming setup, just bare walls and a single brass key on a red velvet cloth. I'm clean-shaven, hair neat, wearing the tweed jacket like it was tailored for me. Hey again. It's been quiet without you all. I pick up the key, the dried blood hasn't flaked off at all. I turn it slowly so the light catches every ridge. The house is empty again. The walls miss footsteps. The red door misses turning. It gets lonely. I smile, calm, polite, the way a good host smiles when the guests are late. Bring someone you love. A girlfriend. A boyfriend. That friend who's always down for stupid dares. 2 heartbeats are all it asks. We'll leave the chain cut, the gate open, the key right here in the lock. Break the rules with me. The camera zooms, slow and steady, until my eyes fill the frame. They're the color of old embers, antique hunting orange, glowing just enough to notice. I'll be waiting. Lean in, voice dropping to a whisper that brushes the microphone like a kiss. Comment below who you'd bring. I'll be reading. Smile widens. Screen snaps to black. One low, perfect note of a hunting horn lingers in the silence.